Hey there, folks. Santee at the Arizona Ghostwriters here. Today we're going to be talking about coffee in the Old West, so pour yourself a cup of hot joe and let's start talking.
Well, good morning, Miss Harley.
Oh, good morning, Jed. Care for a cup of coffee?
Sure. What are you up to?
Oh, watching YouTube.
Oh, did you catch the latest episode of Jed I TV?
It's on my watch list.
Oh, well, what are you watching then?
Arizona Ghostwriters?
What? Santee's show before Jed I TV?
It's in alphabetical order? Okay, I'll watch Jed I TV now.
This is Jed I TV.
This week, Jed I TV gives you an inside look at the Autry Museum of the American West. While this museum is not solely dedicated to Gene Autry memorabilia, it bears the name of the famous Singing Cowboy because he was one of the co-founders, along with Jackie Autry and Joanne and Monty Hale. It was Autry's dream to, quote, build a museum which would exhibit and interpret the heritage of the West and show how it influenced America and the world. An interesting side note we discovered while researching for our trip to this museum: Gene Autry is the only entertainer to have 5 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1 for motion pictures, 1 for radio, 1 for music recording, 1 for TV, and 1 for live theater.
Before we started our tour, we grabbed a quick bite to eat at the Crossroads West Cafe, where we enjoyed a breakfast burrito. And now with our bellies full, we're ready to start our tour. By the way, our goal here is not to show you the entire museum, but rather to show you some of our favorite pieces from the various collections and hopefully encourage you to make the trip to the museum yourself.
We began our adventure in the Norman F. Sprague Jr. Gallery. This gallery is named after the philanthropist, surgeon, and cattle rancher, Dr. Sprague. During our visit, this section of the museum featured over 50 paintings, sculptures, and other art pieces from the collection of Loretta and Victor Kaufman. A couple of the pieces I found particularly fascinating were the bronze statue titled Devil Duster by Mel Lawson, and the oil painting, A River Runs Through It, by Bill Shenick.
Our next stop was the Art of the West Gallery in the Parks Gallery of Art section of the museum. There was a lot of really fascinating art in this section. Of particular interest were these photos by David Leventhal, using plastic toys as the subject matter. From there, we moved into the Imagination Gallery. This gallery held a lot of film, TV, and pop culture pieces from the Western genre. Items ranging from Annie Oakley's shotgun to Clayton Moore's Lone Ranger costume are on display. Memorabilia from all sorts of recognizable cowboys and cowgirls from every era were represented in this gallery, from Tom Mix to Clint Eastwood, Gene Autry, to John Wayne, and Annie Oakley to Dale Evans. This section also held items that showed the influence that the cowboy theme had on pop culture, including a very familiar collection of toys, and even Michael Jackson's Western-themed boots and cowboy gauntlet-inspired glove.
Next was a trip downstairs and through exhibits like the fascinating life and work of Mabel McKay, and a journey through the American Western expansion in the aptly named Journeys Gallery, where we were able to see unique historical artifacts from folks and places that influenced the later half of the 1800s in America. Some of the eye-catching pieces in this gallery were the transportation displays, including items from the railroad and this amazingly well-preserved stagecoach. Amongst the firearms in this section of the museum were General Custer's cased Smith & Wesson revolvers, all engraved and adorned with pearl grips.
Next, we strolled through the Enlightening Communities Gallery, which gave us a view of the racial, ethnic, and religious diversities represented in America's expansion to the Western frontier.
The Western Frontier Gallery highlights the iconic object of the American West, the firearm. All sorts of different forms of firearms from manufacturers like Remington, Colt, Smith & Wesson, and Winchester were on display. This was an amazing collection of beautiful and historic firearms, including Annie Oakley's gold-plated handguns with their pearl grips, Teddy Roosevelt's Colts with their iconic grip, and the holy grail for me, Wild Bill's 1851 Navy.
The Autry Museum of the American West also houses the Greg Martin Colt Gallery, a huge room displaying the history of Samuel Colt's revolvers. The exhibit highlights the influence the Colt revolver had on the American West, particularly the Colt Single-Action Army, often referred to as the handgun that won the West. The firearms featured in the exhibit include pieces of historical significance, opulent engraved specimens, and extremely rare models. Highlights of what is said to be one of the finest collections in the country include prototype revolvers, engraved revolvers, and revolvers owned by celebrities.
And finally, we ended our tour of the Autry Museum of the American West in the Cowboy Gallery. This gallery includes video displays of the landscape from California to Kansas to Texas to Oklahoma, as well as several hands-on exhibits to entertain visitors.
Yeehaw! Oh my goodness. Can I get a picture of your hand? Are you embarrassed?
We wrapped up our visit to the Autry Museum of the American West in the gift shop, where Jedi Knight discovered, much to his amusement, that the influence of Star Wars was present even here. As a souvenir of our trip, we picked up this Gene Autry guitar pin. It will adorn Jed's gun cart as both a memory of our time at the museum and hopefully serve as a conversation starter. Jedi TV hopes this brief look into the Autry showed you enough to whet your appetite and encourage you to plan a trip to the museum yourself.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Jedi TV, filmed at the Autry Museum of the American West. Thanks for watching. Make sure to click that like button. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Did you see my co-star here? That's Jedi TV.